Well, greetings everybody, and I'm live on audio apparently. Somewhat later than planned. I'm looking at the clock here. I think we're coming to you about half an hour late. This is most unfortunate. We've had all sorts of things go wrong here, but we are with you now, and we have a pretty show to go with you. I just realised my lips aren't flapping. One of those funny things that happens in the virtual world. Your lips don't work, but they will in a minute, I think. Yeah, there we are. Right, okay. My name is Mal Burns, and I'm one of the hosts of this show. On my left, I'd like to introduce Thirza Ember, who's my co-host here every week. Welcome, Thirza, as always.
Thank you, Mal. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thirza and dog, to be precise. Dog always comes
That's
with.
correct.
Dog always comes with her. And normally on my other side, because it's convenient, I have our filmmaker, production guy, James Atloud. And I'm hoping he's got the camera on himself. I told him to. He's actually sitting in the audience today for reasons that
I
will
do,
become a
Mel.
bit
Yep.
evident later. So
Yep.
I can't see if he's showing himself, but I
I
hope
did.
he is. Very good. Welcome, James Atloud.
Thank you, Mel. Happy to be here.
Now, James deserves a lot of credit, A, because during the HIE conference last weekend and during the whole week when he's been editing, he's done an amazing job of filming a conference, which is really the theme of today's edition. Moreover, James has been sort of with me as a sort of sidekick, as it were, for I don't know how many years it is now. But when he came on board, he actually, I think I made an appeal somewhere, and that James says, "Well, I might be able to help. I don't know anything about this stuff." Anyway, he's been with me ever since. But oddly enough, the unique thing today is that in James' seat, I have what you might call his predecessor, the lady who actually did all the filming for me before James, and that's none other than Pet Love Pet Shop. So welcome, Pet Love.
Hi, nice to be back.
Yes, so we see you so rarely now, but it's absolutely wonderful. And you did some wonderful stuff at the conference, which we'll get to later. Also in the studio, as I say, Pet Love was there, sort of almost independently, shadowing James. So it gives us a sort of fresh outlook of things. But also two of the organisers with Thurza and me. We have Tosha Tyran here. Welcome, Tosha.
Hi guys, I'm really glad to be here.
And we're glad to have you. Complete with hair, which it looks fabulous. There was no problem at all. There's just a lot of it.
Okay.
And also Kelso. I never met, we never use your second name as a rule, do we? Kelso Uxlay, I think is the right
Kelso Uxlay.
pronunciation.
I'm
Who
delighted to be here today.
Yeah, one more of our more technical organisers there too, and well, Tosha obviously with translation, some wonderful stuff. And finally, a special guest we got with us is Licu. Anyway, you may need to unmute Liku. Liku is actually the owner operator of Craft Grid, which is one of many hundreds of grids on the Hypergrid. But Craft Grid are the ones who, both back in 2017 and this year, have actually acted as host for our, I was going to say conference, but no, it's actually an expo. It's not a fair, not a conference, somewhere in between an expo. So welcome, Liku.
Good evening. Thank you
Wonderful. Just checking your
to
mic.
be with me.
All right. So we're going to have a fun show here. I don't know how we're going to fit it all in, but we've actually lost some Safari on the Mac has gone a bit haywire, so we've lost some of our material, but we've still got more than enough to complete this show, I'm sure. So before we actually move to anything else, we have a little special spot at the start here, which gets posted separately to Facebook, in fact, amongst other places, and it's called Hypergrid Happenings. So without further ado, I'm handing over to you now, Thurza, for Hypergrid Happenings. Da, da, da.
Yeah, hello once again. It's Hypergrid Happenings. And there's quite a lot happening in the month of October. You won't be surprised to hear that, since it's the month that Halloween happens, which is one of the biggest holidays that is celebrated in opensim. So I would like to show you a few of the things that we're expecting to happen this week. Obviously, next week there'll be even more things happening. But you could smell the pumpkin spices even now as you walk through the Hypergrid. The first thing I'd like to mention is John Temple's London City. It's over there on Gentle Fire Grid, which is a charming place. I don't think John comes in World too much anymore, but Topsy Janice, she runs the region, which is this wonderful London vibe with the Houses of Parliament and other monuments on it. And she's having a party in the park that will be tomorrow, Monday, the 15th of October. It starts at 12 o'clock SLT, which is the evening here in Europe. So go over there to gentlefire.opensim.fun at 8002, and London City is the name of the region. You have to love a grid that has fun in its very name. Here's another thing that's happening. This will be Wednesday, a familiar sight to some of you, the safari. We have two interesting destinations lined up. One is on Kitely and one is on Dorena's World. The first one is it's Cooper Swizzle's Lascaux Caves. He made this as a sort of teaching aid. It's an interesting build from a lot of viewpoints. If you don't know much about the Lascaux Caves in France, where there are the prehistoric drawings, that will be interesting to you. And also just to see how he has tried to use methods to make it accessible to kids and to adults. His region, in fact, it's a training region. And the other thing that we'll be going to see is Strawberry Fields. Of course, last week we did a Beatles event, as you may remember, some of you. This is an alternative to that. It's a Beatles built by a German builder. John Winston van Dyke is his name. So fantastic name for a fantastic build. And we'll be going to see that on Wednesday. Another thing that is happening this week is Autumn Fest is beginning over on AMV Grid, Alternate Metaverse Grid, and they have loads of things lined up. So definitely need to look at their calendar, get in Inworld, and to experience the many things that will be going on, from live performances to opportunities for meditation, dancing. There'll be costume parties, there'll be storytelling, lots of different activities by Cataplexia and Clifford as well. Speaking of storytelling, this one's coming up on Thursday at 7 p.m. Second Life time, which is first thing in the morning in Europe. It's Shandon Loring, our favorite storyteller of all time. Many of us remember him from the HIE sim that used to be both in Second Life and in Kitely. He now runs a place called the Storylink Radio Estate. And the beautiful thing about what Shandon does is you can listen on YouTube live, or you can listen in world on his region in Kitely, or even in Second Life. So he's the triple threat when it comes to telling stories about ghosts. And as I say, there are going to be many, many more parties happening that are themed that way. But if you're not really into all that, well, go and shoot some zombies. Join Kayak Magic over on Discovery Grid. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago when we did a safari every Saturday at 9:30 in the morning, Second Lifetime, which is early evening in Europe. You can go and join him. He will help you learn how to shoot better and take you to hunt various things. Of course, as he says, it's almost zombie time of the year, so go and practice your marksmanship. So that's a fun thing you could do over on Discovery Grid. And obviously, everybody has events coming up, seeing that it's that kind of time of the year with Halloween. And then, of course, there'll be Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So if you have a special event, a project, maybe you're going to have a big party or an art opening, maybe you teach a class, anything like that that's coming up on your grid, please let us know. And we'll be very happy to include it in Hypergrid happenings.
Well, thank you, Thirza, for that wonderful little roundup. I must say, for as long as I've been in virtual worlds, there's something I've always put my foot down with, and that is I am not going to go and shoot zombies. I've got far better things to do. Even Halloween, there's plenty of
You
ghouls.
don't know what you're missing, Val. There's nothing more satisfying
Oh,
than
I do.
taking a few zombies out.
Back in Second Life, when I was working with Metaverse TV, they had a big spaceship in the sky as their headquarters, and there was just a post-apocalyptic muddy mess underneath back on the planet. But somehow a load of zombies arrived in this muddy mess and hijacked the teleporter that brought them up to the spaceship. And I was forced to go about my, it's kind of imagine you're doing a BBC news show or something, and the zombies has invaded your newsroom. And they put the zombies everywhere, and they weren't going to let me off. I just said, I'm going to log out of here if you don't take these things away. Anyway, that's a byproduct of various things. Got a nice little, well, it was a GIF I converted here on the middle screen, in fact. This is odd, it's just a nice shot. I'm going to start with it. It's an aerial shot. I think it may have been from one of Thurza's builds, but we have a build there, which when you see from the ground, it's got these sort of wheels and things like that. It's stopped on me now. As I said, it's a GIF. But when you look at it from the air, it's fascinating seeing the wheels and the cogs going around, and the fact the clock moves as well, telling the time. So one of the more unusual aspects of the Expo that you don't really see unless you're flying up in the air, looking straight down, as it were. So
That's true.
Yeah.
It makes us. Yeah.
Sorry?
Beautiful. No, I was going to say it makes me think of all the workings that went on, all working independently and turning in different directions to try and make the whole HIE Expo come together.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of moving parts, that's for sure.
That's a bit of an understatement, that, I think. Yes, very much. Well, it's hard to know where to start. I'm going to... I'll come to Petlum next, I think, but in fact, I'll leave this bit really with you, Thurza. As I announced earlier, when we just seen a quick run through, one of the people we got in the audience, not the audience, the stage, is Licu Rau. Welcome again, Licu.
Thank you.
Sorry, Thurza?
Hello?
Sorry, no.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now, Licu. I wanted to ask you what effect it had on Craft Grid to have this HIE event, the HIE, the Expo, come to Craft Grid. Did we damage your grid in any way? And did you have to make many preparations before the event happened? I'm just curious.
No. First of all, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay. No. If we talk about impact from a social point of view, then it was surely positive because there was the interest of many people in grid. Indeed, in this event led many craftians to participate with their interventions. From a technical point of view, I think there was nothing significant. Think that we have got customers in grid with regions that are overflowing with primes, OR, OER of 10 gigabytes. So what you did was absolutely good. Built well and with common sense, I should say. So it was a positive impact to the people, surely.
Well,
Can I
that's
say
nice
something
to
about that?
Yes, please,
Okay.
please do, Tosha.
Good.
I want to say, well, as a long-time resident of Craft, that I'm absolutely proud of Craft and thankful to Liku that everything worked so well. The grid is so well taken care of, and we had really practically no problems there during the days of so many people and so many different actions. And just apart from all the people that participated, I think the person in the background, Lico, thanks a lot, thanks a million, and of course to my home grid. I love it.
May I say, I didn't do anything special to strengthen the grid or to make it good for the event. It's all from the experience, almost 14 years. Nothing more. Some trick you learn along the way. Okay. But let's not forget the work of the developers. Right now, opensim is not what it was 10 years ago, not even what it was 5 years ago. It has improved a lot, a lot, especially the script engine that make everything easier. So yes, if you have if you have good experience in this, and if you have a good software, OpenSim is improving. You can do things well.
While we're talking, I'm actually showing, I don't know if it's on the broadcast, your homepage with its slideshow there, the magic of craft.
So
and,
beautiful. I'm just looking at the images. Oh my God, they're so beautiful.
so
Really,
many,
the photographs are gorgeous, aren't they?
yeah, different locations and everything
Yeah.
else. It's funny, I know we usually reiterate with this when we're talking about craft. But I'm interested in your thoughts about it because you are one of the oldest open simulator grids. And I think I think I always had the impression that craft was started as a grid for artists and creators away from Second Life, basically, downside cheaper and whatever. And then people are saying, "Oh, well, no, it's the Italian grid," but it's not, is it? You've always had this. I suppose craft is the crafty word. Sorry, bad pun there. In the name, isn't it? But maybe I should just say a little bit before we move on about your vision of the grid when you first started it and how it's developed.
When I started with the grid, I thought of something that was not dedicated to something in particular. Not a grid for artists, not a grid for entertainment, not a grid for school, but all these things together because this is the spirit of virtual worlds, to mix everything together and make, like in real life, make exchange between different environment, we can say. So there was not when I started with it. The idea was to make something not national, not dedicated to something in particular, but that could catch everything.
Which in many ways made it perfect for us because the
Yes,
the
yeah, that's
Expo
true.
was multi it wasn't so much multi country, it's multi language. So we chose 4 languages, and of course Spanish, for example, is spoken in Venezuela and other places. I forget which one. But
That is good. Indeed, OpenSim should be a sort of distributed metaverse
Yeah.
And have different different the word different okay, then different experiences,
Yeah.
different but craft in particular I thought of it like an open world, open to everything.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm bearing on time. Basically, with this program, we like to have a sort of open discussion. So, as I move to each person sort of thing, then feel free to butt in and join the conversation in a polite way. Sort of if you have any thoughts. I'm going to move now to Pet Love, who's sitting here next to me. Welcome again, Pet Love.
Thank you.
And yes, you were a predecessor of James. This goes back a long way. What was that? 10 years ago?
It might have been. Yeah, it's been a while.
Feels like a long while, but you always turn up at, I don't know, there's OSCCs and various conferences and things,
Mhm.
and in Second Life. But what intrigued me, I haven't, because my browser went a bit screwy before the show came on, as you probably know. So the link to your other TV show,
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately got. But I'm going to ask you about that first because I knew you were going to be shadowing James with, doing some filming at the conference, and we'll be showing a
Mhm.
bit of that in a minute. But just tell me briefly a little bit. The exciting thing was you said, well, you may well be able to use some of the footage. Just extras from the footage on this show, which I think it's a 30-minute show you do, isn't it? And it's like
It's half an hour. Yes.
a roundup machinima style show. So just briefly, first of all, what you're trying to do with that show? How did it come about? And are you definitely going to do one on us?
Yes, yes, and wait a minute. It started when I decided to take my filming skills into real life. A local public access TV station had an ad, and it said, "Come to us, learn to use our equipment, take a class, and then we'll deploy." I thought they were going to deploy us. I thought they would ask us to go to the senior center and make movies, or go do the flower show.
Yeah.
But at the end of the classes, there were 3 of them. He didn't say anything about that, so I said, "So are you going to put us on a schedule?" He goes, "Oh no, now you go make your own TV show." And I was like, I got lost 3 times on the way home that night, and I only live a mile away. I was just driving
Your
around
mind,
going, "Oh, what?"
your mind was elsewhere.
Blown. It was totally blown. So sometimes it's a variety show, sometimes it's meaningful. My goal is to show people that virtual worlds are useful for more than just entertainment. So I run like good stories about how people benefit. For instance, Parkinsonisms. A woman could walk better after using her avatar for about 6 months or a year. Um, people with autism can practice speaking to each other, and to anybody, and it helps transfer those skills. And I have permission from a lot of people to just use their films, and I do, and I use some of my own. That's when it becomes a variety show.
I did watch. I followed the link, and I did watch the whole of your last edition, as it were. I don't know what the date was, but yeah, it was pretty much a montage of your work.
Yeah, and they're very nice. I'm not allowed to make any money from it, which is fine, and nobody else is either. But it's just such a wonderful opportunity, and I tell anybody who wants to try it, call your local nearest big city. They probably have the same setup,
Yeah.
because the video providers in this neighborhood provide the studio. They subsidize the studio in return for business concessions.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful studio, and I really should be doing real life stuff. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Who knows if you get a bit of free time, which I doubt you ever will, know you, but do some live action
Free
stuff.
what? Right.
Maybe, you know, maybe something will come along locally, which is like one of these events, what I call the real world, you know, immersion
Mhm.
events. You know,
Well,
like
it's really funny.
yeah,
What's really funny is all the other shows on that channel, almost all of them are township board meetings, senior citizen parties, you know, and then you've got modern machinima with God knows what, you know, but he likes it. The producer likes it, and he said,
yeah,
keep it coming. So I've had it for 4 years now. And I do it every 2 months. It's every 2 months I change the show. It runs 5 days a week
yeah.
for half an hour. It's really amazing. I'm still amazed.
Well, yeah, I could, you know, I mean, actually, I imagine the producers running the channel actually
He calls
desperate.
it eye
I mean, if
candy.
they are showing the old folks home live, you know, sort of,
Yeah.
they need a break from that. And, you know, if you can
Yeah.
make it topical enough that it connects with all that stuff,
Hmm.
fine. Then about the
Yeah.
town hall thing, I get one of those too, and it's the most boring
They
possible.
can be a little staid, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
stiff.
so there you go, Mal. You could run your show probably.
Yeah, except I don't live where do you live again?
I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yeah, Delphi, that was it. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm a bit far away from that, but
Hmm.
I remember that my radio station here is actually playing. It's the Bruce Springsteen song Philadelphia, but there's a jazz version being recorded by somebody new. I don't know her name. Just at first I didn't recognize it, then it started playing. I was like, oh yeah, Philadelphia Street. And anyway. So, okay, how did you enjoy HIE?
I
As
thought it was.
an outside observer, because you weren't at the last one, and well,
I've worked at OSCC,
yeah,
and they're wonderful. This exposition was also wonderful, and the idea of making all the languages available to all the people, I thought that was fantastic. I think it's wonderful, just fantastic. I never even thought about that.
yeah.
And you've solved a problem that worldwide could make a difference, you know?
It's
I th-
funny, isn't it, Thurza, actually? We have a template there that nobody else has done.
mhm. I think it's got a lot of potential, and I think it's a really terrific thing. All the
Yeah.
presenters were so interesting. I really enjoyed attending it. I just enjoyed all the art. I enjoyed everything about it. I enjoyed running into you again and being here too.
Really? Well, of
And
course.
the art for us was that was a bit of a new venture, because the previous edition that we did, we've always focused only really on talks, very much along the lines of the OSCC. Somebody comes and they give a very conventional presentation. But we really wanted to give some more oomph to the event. You know, people they come into virtual worlds to see the visual. And so that's really what happened. And for example, Kelso and Tosha, who are both right here with us, not only did they do a huge amount of the work behind the scenes, we could not have survived without either one of them. They're both essential, but they both presented as well, which I thought was
Yes.
amazing. And both of them presented something very visual, which was just magnificent. Tosha's Guggenheim Museum, which is one of the most amazing builds, combining the real world with what is possible in the virtual, just blew our socks off. And of course, Kelso, people are still talking about it all over the place. Where can we get Kelso's toys? Everybody wants Kelso's toys.
Yes.
Kelso, can I ask you how did
By the
you
way, by the
deal
way,
with that? I'm just amazed.
by the way, can I just say that we're running about 12 minutes of Pet Love's film, looking at the actual
Oh,
site of the booth
right,
while we're
fantastic.
talking. So carry on talking,
Right.
but we've got that in the background there. So yeah.
Yeah, what a great
What was
job
the
you did with
question?
that too. My
What
question, Kelso, was which was more difficult for you, to work on the subtitles or to work on your speech? And what were the differences
Oh boy,
between the
I would
two
say this
things?
the speech wasn't too long because presented objects which I made over the years. So it took me an evening to figure out in my huge inventory which one would I like to show. Initially, there was a dozen, and then I reduced to something like 5 or 6. And I had to create one at the last minute because I was not able to get a special command enabled. But to be frank, the managing the translation, the note cards took a lot of time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I believe that.
Even
Good
with
job.
the help of all the tools the tools we have today to translate things, you still need to double check and verify, and in almost everyone there were things to correct. And I also did the mistake, as it was my first time. I waited too long before to start building the final note cards, the one that were used during the show. At the end, I was working very, very quickly because the deadline was approaching, and my attention skipped a little on proofreading. And imagine, during my own presentation, I forgot to include the Italian text for my presentation. So it's just a mistake. It was empty. It was not there. Now I had the text on my drive. It was in the note cards, everything, but I forgot to include it in the final copy. So there was no Italian translation of my talk. So it's a mistake which I will never do again.
Well,
But the
hopefully
beauty
we
of that
can
is
do
that people can watch your videos on our audio stream, and they can modify the subtitles so they can read the subtitles in English or even in Italian if they want to. So that's
Yeah.
a great thing. I
Yes.
can't believe you actually rebuilt one of your toys just the night before. You're blowing my mind there. You rebuilt it. Oh my God.
I don't know. Children in their toy boxes, they always come out at night under the bed and the toys. sorry, Kelso.
And actually, I
There's
must
a
say
vision there.
the item which I had to build at the last minute, I find was better. It was a better example of what I wanted to say. So actually, it was a
Wow.
plus that I had to do it, on short notice.
That's often the case with art, isn't it? When you got all the time in the world to be finicky and a perfectionist, you overwork things. But when you've got a bit of a rush, I'm not really talking about deadlines as in work, but you've got to get this painting finished for an event the next day. It can work out better because that immediacy, that impetus, just gives it a magic something.
Right.
If you say so.
Well, no,
It may
I was having a nervous
come out
breakdown. I
better,
was-
but we had some examples also at this time that some people came across really at the very, very, very last moment, like at 8 o'clock in the evening before they had their talk the next day, and that really made my nerves go. It was terrible.
But we survived. Come on. And everybody gave a wonderful speech. And
Oh, yeah.
especially Tosha. Tosha, you actually had some Basque music, didn't you? That wasn't actually played on the event for a technical reason, but people can find it in the audio version that James has put together. Is that right? Where did you get that music from? I was intrigued by it.
Well, I lived during when I was working on for the university. I lived a year or a little longer, maybe, in the Basque Country, and I had a lot of friends there, and also together with some other friends in Germany, I organized a tour of a Basque group through Germany, and that was sort of punk rock. It's very political. When you hear that, the group itself, the one that I used in the end, Chinak, is a pretty bad word for police, and that's what the group is called. And also the song text itself is very political, very rough. I mean, it's probably good that probably nobody can translate it. So, but it was I found a great pleasure because I was looking for some typical Basque music for the museum part, and in the beginning I found only the folk music and a little boring and a little kitschy, and I didn't want that, and so I kept on looking, and then I found this music again, and it's more. I got into contact with the boys of the band, and they were really surprised, and it was a really like a lovely re-encounter, and since then we are in very good contact by email and sometimes with Skype, and so it's really fun. It's really fun.
That's an amazing way that virtual worlds have can connect people who are nothing to do with virtual worlds even.
Yeah.
An amazing thing.
Yeah, and I gave them the link, to the thing too, so that they can see what I used the music for, and they were delighted, and they thought it was really great. And but I couldn't convince them to come into virtual world themselves because they said, "Well, computer, we don't want to do anything with it." So they really have nothing to do with it, but they're great, great kids, really great boys, and we had a good time. And I think we will keep on having contact, really. Yeah.
Great.
That's great. I wanted to ask Mal a question. What
Cool.
did you think was the most difficult part of this event? Was there any part that you thought, well, I just don't know if we can pull this off? And I'm thinking about the artists as well as the speakers.
Yeah, I'm watching the film while we're talking here. Or you'd be talking about it. Just think this is just the booze and the art pieces. There's some amazing stuff here, and Petlov, you filmed it wonderfully. Um, it's almost like the hardest part was the build up to the event, and the fact that the event itself, all things considering, um, went very smoothly indeed, more than I dared expect. Um, I It was very interesting for me in a way because I was handling the stream, not the video stream that James did, of course, and Petlov was helping with, but the audio stream, and fading the music in the break in and out, and then bringing the speakers on, and then in the back channel, a test back channel, I was queuing those speakers, and I've done that before, but I can't remember how many years ago it is. Certainly, we did we used to do the Relay for Life stuff in Second Life, and I remember I would queue people for that because that was big. It was like a telethon that lots of virtual world filmmakers engaged with, but a lot of other things too. That I will be behind the camera and I'd be queuing and things like that. And of course, these days, you know that I tend to be in front of the camera, or at least my avatar does, rather than the other way around. Of course, and so it was actually quite refreshing, that was almost the nicest part, not only just being live and seeing it all go well, but also just doing that kind of stage manager queuing thing at the same time. But yeah, in the build up, yeah, we it's the same as any event of this complexity and size, and you got worried at times. I mean, I think because of the complexity, we're dealing with multiple languages, multiple time zones in some cases, rehearsals. Sometimes we had them, sometimes we didn't. It's I suppose in the back of your mind, every week that went by and it got closer and closer, you're feeling a bit more stressed about will it work, will it work? And then the day comes and smooth riding.
Pretty good, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I just like to say that I totted up the numbers, and 105 different people contributed to this event. 105. That's quite a figure from all
Oh my
kinds of
God.
different places in OpenSim, and to
Oh,
all to come
impressive.
together. We really didn't have any drama. Everybody seemed to get along pretty well. There were moments when we all wanted to shoot each other, maybe from home, but
There
we got over it.
are
I
the
was really,
moments, aren't
or was that just you all wanted to shoot me? Probably, I don't blame you.
No, hardly.
But when you think about
The exact opposite.
over 100 people, that's
Everybody,
not easy to do. So congratulations,
it's the exact
everybody.
opposite. Everybody was praising you because you you didn't just do one thing; you did almost everything.
Yeah, but that's nonsense because one person can't do anything. It takes a lot of people to do everything. You might ask people, you can't take praise because you asked somebody to do something and they agreed to do it. Where's the Where's the credit in that? So no, absolutely, I refuse to take that. The five of us worked really well as a team, but if we hadn't had all the other input and contributions, people like Pet Love right here and Licu, and we could name 100 other people too who all gave something to the event and really made it happen. Wonderful.
Well, Thirza, but one thing is true.
I'll just
There were a lot of.
I'll just interrupt a sec if I may, because there's only about a minute of film running behind us. But we also had some great concerts, including the first one, 3 the night before on Friday. And well, I just got one little clip here which shows a band performing, but it also shows, Rage's thing, wasn't it?
Sorry, Jupiter.
Yeah, Zoe was marvelous. Yeah, but Rage's build behind. We probably got other footage of it somewhere, but it's a sort of
That would be
board.
Nix's build, Nix Breen.
Nix, that's it. Yes, sorry. Yeah, it's a
great
Scrabble
build.
board in the sky. So yeah, I thought it'd be nice to show that. So we sort of started in a way on Friday. We're getting into the rhythm of things, but. No, the serious stuff was Saturday morning, or well, Saturday evening our time.
Okay. Anyways, now me.
Sorry, Tosha.
I want to say to Thirza, it's true. Many people contributed to the organization, really many, and the five of us were working very well together. I think so too, and I'm really proud that I was part of the team. But you, Thirza, you were like the person that had all the threads in the hand and made all the knots at the right places. Without you, I think we were all lost.
I'm definitely a not person.
Apologies, she won't admit to being such a crucial key in the thing, but she really was.
But can we just say the 2 words, cherry manga? Because
Now,
what Cherry did for us.
I don't know when you've been looking at the screen behind you.
Yes, I just caught a glimpse. Yes.
It was
Right,
so
okay,
wonderful.
basically,
She is a goddess.
this is film that I took, and I took it on. Oddly enough, I think it was sunrise I chose, or tweet a bit, rather than the dark night, just to get another feel of it. This is 30 minutes long, so I'm just going to let it play while we carry on talking, and we may not see it all, but both the Saturday evening after, it's kind of like after party really, both on the Saturday and the Sunday when she did a repeat performance. This is pictures from Cherry Manga's display, which was in the welcome region, separate from the event, and it was up in the sky. So I'll let this play, and yes, do tell Thirza. She is one. We've seen her work.
I'd just like to say,
yeah.
What happened was that I did ask Cherry if she would consider doing something for the event. In the previous edition of HIE, which was back in 2017, when I was running the Safari previously, our clubhouse was on Francogrid, and Cherry and I became very good friends. And she had done many events of the Fest Abbey series. You may remember that, where they started out as just a fashion show. Well, I say just. It was a fashion show showing that people could make avatars that were interesting, and you didn't have to copybot everything from Second Life to have an interesting avatar. That was the basis of Fest Abbey. And it developed with the help of Cherry into this incredible theatrical display, and she did it for I think 3-4 years, something like that. But it was a huge amount of work, and she really was working by herself at that time. So we kind of collaborated a little together, and when I told her we were going to do the original HIE back in 2017, she did do an artistic show for us during the event in the auditorium, much similar to let's say CapCat. Well, CapCat did something along those lines, filling the auditorium with light and movement. So when I told her we were going to do it again, she said, well, I could do something in the auditorium, but I feel a bit trapped in there. It's difficult for me to kind of really do my thing. So of course, Licu very kindly has provided also a welcome region, which is separate from the main auditorium regions. So I said, well, just go upstairs in the sky above that and do whatever you need to do. And literally, I just left her alone to do it. Once or twice she had a few questions or hurdles to get over, but once she did that, she just wowed us all with this magnificent work. I think she began doing it in May, and it was finished late September. So that's a long time for somebody to be working on one thing. She did a little bit here and a little bit there, but as you can see, it was well, phenomenal.
I'm going to move forward a bit
And
because we won't have time for the whole half hour, and it changes.
there's a lot of pogoing there.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, you find wonderful pictures of, especially of the work of Sherry, picture stills in Facebook. For example, Eva Cry made some gorgeous pictures. You have to see them. They're really there on the, I think on the craft Facebook page. They are really, I mean, you see things there that you never see when you participate because you're so occupied about what happened to you.
Yeah.
that you lose out of sight a lot of other things. And whoever hasn't seen that has to go there to look. It's really out of this world.
I look at these characters here. I mean, it's true. When you're actually sitting on those balls and she's changing your position and everything, you're wowed by that. But often you can't see what's going on in the background. I actually tried to camera out as much as I could to see the strange things. And over the course of the 30 minutes or so, it these poses and things change, but also the whole mood changes. It's like you're going, I wouldn't say up, it's more like you're going down levels. And it gets busier and busier and more moody towards the end. But
One of the great features of it is that, however, that it's obviously we're watching it on film and it's wonderful and everything, but really one of the great features is that it's a community. It's a community experiencing the art together. And part of it is that we're all saying things and chatting and joking amongst ourselves as we're experiencing the art. It's a very unsterile atmosphere up there because everybody's imagination is racing and you're wondering what you're going to see next. You're sharing your thoughts with the people around you, and I think that's really central to the whole idea of this expo, that it's art, but it's also community and it's ideas all floating around and being shared. And it's very important because that's really the whole point of virtual worlds, really, that we should be trying to draw people together from lots of different cultures and backgrounds and age groups and countries into one place just to kind of enjoy each other's minds and each other's imaginations.
The other thing I love particularly about this Joe's thing is, unlike some of the stage performances, which were wonderful and real with special effects and glorious to watch, the way she's actually incorporated all basically a big sizable chunk of the audience that teleported over to Pet Love there to join in, but watching it and indeed being there, but actually I'm probably getting more of it watching it now, is the way she's taken what is a huge variety of different characters. Look at the dress codes. Well, it isn't a dress code, all avatars just dress their own way, and the way they dress and have done it well tells you a lot about them. And here they are all together, and it's another sense of that community, that gathering thing, like a Burning Man thing or something. Everybody's come to the festival in their own fancy gear, and then they get put on something like this that just shows them all together. So yeah, and in the rain too, by the look of it. It's rather good. I meant to
and
ask
I should
you,
say, I should say, though, a quick shout out to Nino Whitman, who made most of these scripts way back in the day to make a Fist Avi work on Francogrid. Sadly, Francogrid as a grid no longer exists, and Nino has moved on to other realities, if you will. And he's no longer active in virtual worlds, but his scripting lives on, and the beautiful smoothness that we're experiencing here, when you think about all these huge things happening and changes, you're not seeing a lot of lag here. You're not seeing a lot of grayed out areas. It was just phenomenal. And I wonder, Kelso, what you make of that as a scripter. When you see something like this come together, is it scary, or is it heartening? Is it encouraging, or do you think, oh boy?
It's actually it's a very impressive piece of scripting what he has done there. To be frank, I wouldn't know where to start to do such a large one. He is a highly skilled scripter. Actually, at the beginning of her when she started to work on her show, she intended to use another system to animate the avatars, and I helped her a little with that, but there were severe limitations on that system, and finally she decided to go back to her old friend, who is, as you said, no longer active in opensim, and he accepted to come back and rework a little bit the scripts so that they would work in today's environment. And actually, it didn't take him very long to restore the whole thing, and the result is spectacular.
Indeed. May I say a thing?
Yeah, come on, Tosha, yes.
I was not sure to come here tonight because one of this event puts together many grades, many worlds, many different people, and what we tried to do was to be practically transparent or invisible, like craft, because this also to respect all the people from other worlds coming here. What I want to say is we didn't take any advantage in terms of advertising or nothing by this event. I think this is the way who hosts this kind of events should behave. So also being here tonight is something against what that is this idea.
No, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, basically, this just, I mean, all of us here were involved in the event, quite frankly. So we're having a sort of impartial public review of this, as it were. We could do a show for a whole year, inviting all sorts of different people who took part, to come on, whatever. It's one of those things. You and Kelso really joined me and Thirza and James, of course, as the core people behind this, and that's why we're really here talking now. Not to, there'll be people who see this program who weren't there, and they're probably looking at it and think, "Oh, I wish I had been there." The same with
Licu. I think Licu. Also, the thing that Licu just said now about it not being an event, he didn't try to use the event to say, "Oh, I'm the sponsor of the event," and I appreciate, and I really did appreciate that transparency. But you often see other events that say, "Well, just build a neutral grid so that nobody is getting the glory."
Neutral is the right word.
Sure, but it's that presents a whole other set of problems when you have to build a new grid, and a bunch of other things can go wrong. And that's why knowing your spirit, knowing your desire to be very welcoming, very transparent, and very interested in the international community. That's why we felt that craft was the perfect place for us to come, because we knew that you weren't going to treat it as some kind of marketing opportunity. But still, yes, we really want to admit and say and be happy that craft was such a wonderful host to us, because really, you made us very welcome. You made our lives very easy, and certainly nobody felt that they were coming to a specifically craft event. It was an international event. I think Mal would agree with me there.
Yes, it is actually rather funny. Hypergrid Business, a site we know of, they cover a lot more than Hypergrid, but they had a post up a couple of days ago, which is, it's got one headline, and then you read down it, and it's actually like a newspaper. It's not a blog, it's more of a newspaper, but they had one post advertising this for us, I suppose you could call it advertising beforehand. And no slur on Licu, but the headline of their article was Craft Grid presents HIE Expo. And when I saw that, I thought, I think this about a lot at Hypergrid Business is who is this guy? Where does he get his information from, and who chooses how to frame it? They didn't. It was just an announcement thing, but I don't know. I saw it and it stood out a mile. I thought, well, of course we're on Craft Grid. That's
It's a question
great.
of mentality, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's a question of mentality. I mean, that's perfectly fine, but I think that's the beautiful thing that Luke was saying. We sort of had a similar approach,
Yeah.
and that's really why we just feel so at home on Craft Grid and just appreciate it so much. And really, the grid just was fantastic for us. Really, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I think we were Thirza and I, before everybody else got pulled in, we were sort of looking back on what was 17, however many years ago that was, and I mean, we were discussing Craft Grid, and sort of there was really just no question that it was the perfect place. We're saying, well, if Licu can bring it back up for us, and we could do this and do that, the focus was on getting that build back and building on top of it and stuff. So we didn't. I don't think we even thought about moving anywhere else, did we, Thurza? Really, it was
Not really, no, because it
Yeah.
was such an advantage to come there. Yes.
Just a little detail I noted when you look at the website for Craft Grid, the welcoming text and the explanation on how to register are in 5 or 6 languages.
Oh yes, I noticed that.
I don't know of any other grid who has done that.
Good point.
Good point.
No, yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot of English-speaking grids or English language grids, and they just don't even think of something like that, to be honest. But I wonder. I mean, I think most European grids that are, have websites in their own language, and you can probably translate. But I'm not quite sure. I post a lot of blogs, for example, that originate in Europe, but of course I run them through Google's Translate, and the link I post on my feed is a link to the page translated into English, obviously, because my audience is English or English language. But you're right. I mean, I noticed that too, because it's up front at the top. Instead of showing you the different departments like many sites will, it just gives you a button for each language. First thing you think of, which language am I going to choose?
So I thought it was really appropriate for us to be there, just because the grid has that spirit to start with.
Yeah.
And we're not just saying this because we hope you'll let us do it again, Licu. We really mean it.
Yeah, we've
But
already.
it will be nice.
That's true.
We've already planning that. We've got rough dates. So we're hoping to do one in the spring next year, don't we, Thurza? And then back to annually, but in the spring rather than the autumn. Because autumn's so busy, with the other things. So let's get some of the time. Don't want to do it midsummer where everybody's away, but spring. It sounds like a good idea, and different languages too. Hopefully, either plus some of the ones we got or whatever. See how it works. Portuguese and and this, I suddenly realised there's a Greek area in opensim, isn't there? Greek grid or something. But anyway, that's for a future discussion. Right. I'm just going to quickly rush through this to see if there's anything good we missed. Oh yeah, as you can see, it gets darker. I think that's the main thing that makes me feel like it's moving down as you go through it. But I'll leave that running there anyway. I'm going to move back on this display screen to the where did we start there? Where we got craft on. Oh yes, this was a link this week to Hypergrid Business. So this is just more news about opensim. It says it's new hires grids prepare for holidays, but in fact, if you read down, it's astonishingly long. It's like a magazine in itself with lots of different articles, which have absolutely nothing to do with the headline, but worthy of a read. And now I'm moving back here to Hypergrid International Expos. This is our blog as opposed to our website. And Thirza obviously has been posting. The last one was on Friday, which was about Lauren Tone, who's a musician we've
It's a sound engineer.
Yeah, I was just going to say sound artist.
Sound god.
Yeah, in fact, when we had him on the show, he reminded me of another guy called Dizzy Banjo. And then, of course, he said, oh, yes, Dizzy Banjo is my heroes. A Second Life sound artist who works with Brian Eno and people now. But I'll let Thirza talk about these. But you have a plan, don't you, Thirza, to do a lot of revisiting and putting a lot more articles up on here on an ongoing basis as we move toward a spring edition. Have I got that right?
Yes, that's correct. For example, Lauren Tone built a sort of sound sculpture for us in the park, which the park is enormous. It's 3 regions. So many people may have either missed it completely or they may have only seen a part of the build. So there are about 70 different stalls, market stalls. And
90,
then on top of that,
90, 92 or 94.
Oh, yeah, you filmed them all.
Not to interrupt.
And on top of that, there are these art pieces, some of them by Tina Bay. Then Lauren made this. We have a piece by Aziaz. So there's quite a lot going on in the park. So it seemed a good idea to go and speak to some of the people who didn't get the limelight, let's put it that way, of the actual performers and presenters. And so this began with Lauren, who of course made a video of his sound sculpture, so you can actually hear it as not just read his words. But he tells a little bit of his story as well in the article, so it's kind of interesting.
That's cool.
So the idea is to learn a little bit about these people, not just what they did for the HIE, but just about them and their continuing work in opensim and elsewhere.
I think it's important to mention that all the booths will remain on display until mid-December. So people who missed them during the 2-day event, they can now go back and visit. It's really interesting.
Do you want that in the film? I could put it in the film. Redo the film a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it's still open until December. Yeah, that would. Yeah.
If you think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great if it's not too much of a job.
No, it's not. I got a new graphics card. It's so fast. I'm so happy. So no trouble at all.
Nothing like a good graphics card. NVIDIA?
It is an NVIDIA. It's It's only a 3060, but I don't know. I'll shut up right now.
Yeah, it's like Macs, isn't it? So people say, "Oh, I've got a rather old Mac," and somebody from Windows turns around and says, "That's old."
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Okay, as a bit of Lauren's thing is playing there, but it's only on the webpage, so I can't expand it or anything.
Yeah, and I stupidly, in the first publication of the article, I didn't include his video. which
Oh,
was so stupid. But thank you, Mal. But you actually posted it somewhere and just, oh, of course, that's so
and
obvious
actually,
that should be in there.
and this is actually
So
Tosha.
thank you for that.
It was actually Tosha who messaged me
Oh,
saying
was it? All right. Well, thank you both for that.
she'd watched it and couldn't find it, so I gave her the link to find it and kind of thing. Yeah, a small world, really. Yeah. So yeah, all the other posts there are really rounds up of the sessions. If you go to HIE opensim at Google, you will find in the live tab there are all four sessions, pretty much unedited. And then in the videos tab, you'll find the wonderful edits that James has done. I think there's one more to come, is probably Cherry, but the rest are there. And at this point, before he presses his alarm and scares the out of me, I want to actually ask James, and yeah, you can put yourself on camera, right? I wanted to hear your thoughts, because you like now you're filming away, doing a wonderful job, I'm absolutely sure, but we rarely hear from you. And of course, like Pet Love, you have the, I don't know, not bird's eye perspective, but you know, you have the visual perspective on everything going on through various cameras and things. So how did you feel it went, James, and what were your personal highlights?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. The languages, of course, were really wonderful. The art I really enjoyed, and I'm still working on Cherry's performance, but I hope to get that up on the YouTube page for the site as well. Great people working great together. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very tempting for us all to sit here and kind of pat each other on the back. I mean, I think we need to, but it sounds a bit self-indulgent, doesn't it? But yeah, I think we came together as a team and worked really well on it. I mean, I work with Thirza so often, but you know, all the rest of you, you know, just
You guys did all the work. You know, you and James, I mean, I won't take credit for that. I just did a few films, but you guys did a really fantastic job. Really, really,
I
really.
second that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Oh, but James was really great too.
You did amazing.
And Kelso with the translations and making the note cards. Oh my golly. I would not have wanted to do that.
Yeah, the video people, we just live on the shoulders of everybody else's work.
yeah. Well, but that's it. It is
Yeah, but in the end, you carry us all around, James.
it's all
The
part
fact
of
is,
it.
though, that you need to be a team with
Yeah.
many different strengths
Yeah.
to make something like
Yeah.
this work.
Yeah.
If everybody has the same talents, you're going to get nowhere. So you
Yeah,
do need
yeah,
this,
yeah.
and we've been
Yeah.
extraordinarily lucky in the friendship and the talent and the willingness to work. Because if you're not willing to work, this is not going to happen. But I think looking at it, obviously, we can all see things that we wish that we'd done differently. Me, probably more than any of you. If only you knew. But
Yeah.
now I think about it, and I'm really happy to be thinking about trying to do it again and making different mistakes the next time.
Well, we live and learn, don't we?
Right.
I mean,
No fun without the mistakes.
yeah, and we live and learn and make mistakes. I mean, we learned so much from 17, and I must admit, a lot of it had faded into memory for me. My memory's awful. But as we started on this one, it started coming back, you know. And, you know, I think we had a harder time back then. You know, but I mean, the other
We
thing
were a
about
lot
this
younger
event,
back then, Mal. That's what it was. We were younger. We
yeah,
had more energy.
this is true. 17 was a good few. How many decades? I mean, years ago, was it?
I just stopped myself. I think you can too.
Yeah.
But you know,
You
I
can't
must
stop
say
because
also,
you are.
it was such a great thing to, to get to know you all a lot better, all of you guys that we were working together. And we had so much fun. It was also stressy. And in the end, I was dreaming note cards. I mean, literally, dreaming note cards. And but
We
it was,
haven't. We
we had
barely.
so much fun, and the laughter and the jokes and all these things were so great, and I'm really happy about it.
I
Really,
mean,
really.
I haven't even mentioned Tosha that sort of. I was so impressed with you in the background because you were, unlike I think the last time we did this, you were kind of almost hosting conversations between languages. in the rehearsal stages in the background and making connections that was you almost taking the weight of me or Thirza by doing that
Absolutely.
in a lot of cases. And also on the scripting side of things, we've barely touched about that, but I know from the back chat from the weeks before, has somebody given us subtitles and this, that, and the other, and Thursday was worried about that, but also you, Tosha, were on the ball with all that,
But we
contacting
also
people.
got to. There's another factor that because of the language differences, then there are quite a lot of people who were involved in the event. I'll give you an example. Lady Carr.
Oh yeah.
Now I've run
Moderators.
into Lady Carr in different situations, and she's very pleasant. Hello, hello, and that's the end of it. But when you're working with people in a kind of quite stressful situation where there's a lot of conversation input on a situation where you're both working for the same goal, the relationship changes completely. And the person's like, I thought they were all just gorgeous people. I don't know about you, but Lady Carr, she was just so wonderful. She just figured everything out immediately. James was the same. Pretty much everybody immediately understood what they had to do, and just such a wonderful. It was like a blossoming of friendships. They were names
Yes, that's
before,
true.
and they were acquaintances before. It's as though we all rode into the canyon separately, but we all rode out of that canyon as a band.
That's a good
We had
way.
joined together.
What a nice
And
way
I
to
felt
put
that
it.
very strongly. And I
That's a
appreciate
good
that
way of
from all
putting
of
it.
you.
And James said he felt like he was just standing on the shoulders of others, but it's not. I think so. I mean, we're not the only ones that have done this, although we probably are the only ones who tackled the language thing. But it's a complete event. It's something that happens in world that involves everything from the booze to the things on stage to entertainment and then more serious talks, but also the streaming of audio and the filming of the videos and editing them after. This is all stuff that we do the whole thing and we make sure we're doing it carefully. I was very pleased to have an IM from it was Rage, who did one of his dancing avatar things on stage. I get names confused already. Who had been a bit difficult, I think, in the early points. He just wanted confirmation after confirmation. But the first thing he did afterwards, he sent me this note saying, "Excellent, perfect,
Yeah,
professional
yeah,
job."
that's
He,
true.
And
more than he's
yeah,
rather than difficult, he has extreme attention to detail, and he was nervous that it wouldn't work. And I think that's beautiful though. But we got that from, didn't you think, from all of our performers? They were all very keen that they were going to do their best
yeah,
for the event. And I really appreciated that. There was a lot of work went in behind the scenes that we didn't even know they were doing.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
gosh,
absolutely.
hats off to all four of them. And of course, Cherry number 5. Fantastic.
And I was going to say, actually, in relation to what I just said, that the other thing that struck me, you didn't mention this when you asked me the big question earlier, is that during rehearsals, we had to go into different languages and tell people to come on and how to take their cue from the moderator and then walk from behind the curtain to the podium and all that stuff. And people are saying, "Oh, I don't quite understand. Oh, and when do I click my slides?" And getting people to show their slides was, that was another thing, and loading the slides. But what I found on the day was that I think it was probably just after the very first presentation of the day, the other people who came after sort of clicked. They saw the routine happen, where you come from the green room up to backstage, and then you walk from backstage when your moderator cues you, walk up to the podium, and the moderator too. They need to come on at the beginning and end to thank the presenter. Not so much that they did it, but the rhythm and how they managed to keep the rhythm of that. All of them seemed to get better as it went along. It's because every time it happened, they understood more about, hey, yeah, it's just a rhythm. We do that. And I was very impressed by that, because if you'd asked me a couple of days before the event whether that handover between people and queuing people was going to be as efficient as it was, I just said, well, nothing's perfect, but in a way, it nearly was. So so impressed by
Mhm.
that. You know,
Mm.
as you say, Lady Carr and people who aren't on this show who were just moderators for the individual half days. All of them did. They came together and they made it an event, not just putting on their shows and their talks and things,
Mm.
but the fact we had to film it and
And I
whatever.
and I think looking back at it again too, that things d- digital, that he was the first one, the first presenter, the first speaker that was, knowing it or not knowing it, was a wonderful, a perfect choice,
Yeah,
because he was so philosophical. He was so quiet. He made his little mistakes, but he did not get upset about it.
yeah.
It was so cool, so that I had the feeling, okay, this will be wonderful. Really, there was the time that I really, really felt it when I saw things up there on the stage. It was just the perfect beginning.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will. I'm sitting here nervously, thinking I'm going to have a nervous attack because James is going to go start planking. And it's exactly from what I can tell. Well, it's yes, we started on
Can
the
you
whole back,
feel it
so
coming on? Yes.
we're an hour and a quarter in, and I don't want James to make me ill. So I think if you agree not to make me ill, James, then I'll agree to start wrapping up the show. How's that sound?
I agree. I completely agree. That sounds perfect.
Can I just say
Right.
one more thing real quick?
Yeah, sure, sure. Well, I'm rounding up.
James,
So.
James told me, which I didn't know, that the comment about the booths being up there until December is in the description, and we don't want to change the film because then we lose the URL. So I won't redo the film, but
Oh,
the description, the description is holding that information.
yeah.
Okay.
And when the film's finished, we'll get an embed code and put it on the blog anyway. And no doubt,
Okay. That's good.
no doubt, Thirza will point
Sure.
that out
Yeah.
Okay.
in the
I mean,
blog post.
I mean, I would be happy to do it, but it's unnecessary and it might even be inconvenient for other people.
Yeah, and also the thing I find about this show in World Reviewing things, not so much the news shows which are contemporary, but people go back to them years later.
Mhm.
Somebody from Craft Grid was on that show. Now where is it? And it's 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and it was probably Tosha talking about the Ivory Tower, Lumiere Noir, for example, which her region celebrates. So people, they'll see something Tosha does, and then they'll look up her name and they'll go back to the the shows she was on. So when you start putting up newslight notices, they can become dated. You suddenly look at the film and think, yeah, well, that's going to happen on October the 1st, 1967. It distracts you from the actual film, which can be timeless. So no, technical thing, I completely go with that. What I really want to do is have a gig with Zori Jupiter, who was absolutely fantastic. She performed songs on that Friday night thing, by the way, which she's based in the US, but she was largely in English, but she did a bit of jazz and a bit of other things, but she deliberately chose songs from all the different languages. And on top of that, she was a very professional, in my opinion, singer. She could have been in a RL nightclub.
She is so talented. I was
Yeah.
thrilled. Yeah.
Did you film her at all?
Yes, and in fact, I'm
Oh,
working on that video now.
oh, I can't wait to see that.
Mhm.
We'll have to get
Yeah.
her on
And
this
on
show.
that and on that note, Mel.
And on that note, okay, thank you, everybody. I will continue if I'm allowed to, and I don't want an oversized attack. So, right, here we go. Um, that's it, folks. um, we all agree that we had a marvelous time last weekend, and we did a good job. Hope we've been able to share some of that with you today. A
Mhm.
bit unusual for the Inworld review. We haven't got a guest, as it were, who's totally arrived out of the blue or special. It's just like us
We're
and
all special.
our comrades, yeah, our little group, but talking in a way that was reflective, and I hope helped you um, get a sense of what we so enjoyed and did in retrospect. So, in order, I'm going to thank Licu Rau from CraftGrid, who was very much our well, I was going to say physical host, but you know what I mean. No, a sort of digital physical host. Thank you, Liku. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Gracias.
inviting me.
Is that the Italian one? Gracias. Yeah, I think it
No,
is.
that's
Yeah,
Spanish.
I don't know.
Grazie.
Also like
Grazie.
In
Grazie
Italian,
mille.
in Italian, grazie. In Sardinian, gracias.
I see.
There
So
you go.
grazie. Yes. Right. Okay.
Grazie
Oh,
mille.
I tried.
Do you know a little secret? I'm Sardinian. There's a many, and as many Sardinians, I do not feel Italian.
Ah. Do you know that
Little secret.
Tosha mentioned this in passing earlier? I remember in Barcelona, so many people sort of felt that they were Catalan, not Spanish.
Not so many people, most of the people. And if
Yeah.
you come close to Barcelona, for example, from the border, you see very many huge posters saying, tourists, you are not in Spain.
Yes. Yeah, when it's a long time since I was there. It wasn't quite as dramatic then, but people I met were so adamant,
Yes.
It wasn't a political conversation. It was just a background. That is,
And rightfully
I had a
so.
I had a
moving on.
class of Catalans in Second Life teaching
Ah.
them, we were working on English and we would go shopping and talk, about 10 of them. And they had a lot to say on that subject.
I
It
bet
was
they did,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm dangerous diverging again.
And on that
Thank
note,
thank you also to Kelso.
We start this and we're on the show another hour or two.
How about that? Hang on,
Easy.
hang on. Okay, I'm just thanking everybody. Thank you, Kelso. Wonderful stuff. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Tosha, especially. Thank you for being here. Wonderful.
It was a real
Elaborate
pleasure.
everything else. And I know this one. Salut. Salut, that would do. Yeah? Right. And, well, Thursday speaks English. That's no problem. Okay. Our other special guest, of course, I'd like to thank Pet Love Pet Shop.
My pleasure.
I so hope we see more of you again here in the outer perimeter, what do we call it? The
The islands.
the vast expanse beyond that walled garden in the corner of the universe, sort of thing. Great to have you here anyway.
Thank you. It was really nice to be here. And now I just remembered to toggle my lips. Bye.
Oh,
Good night.
James didn't remind. Never
Those
mind.
lips. Those lips.
Okay. Finally, many thanks to my co-host, Thirza Ember. I could do it in
lovely
Italian.
to be here, Mel. And thank
Yeah.
you so much for a great show.
It is. And of course, thanks to me, because nobody else was there. Right. So, everybody, I wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever or whenever you are. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.